welcome to the 41st episode of the Online Tennis Podcast. It's me, Jack, and my co-host
Gavin. Regular co-host back again this week. How are you doing, Jack?
Good, thank you. Yes, good, Gav. We've had a few 250s on. You'll be happy to hear your favourite kind of tournament.
Love a 250. And two in the same week.
I know, yeah. It doesn't get much better than that, does it?
That's like heaven. Tennis heaven right there.
Indeed. We have got Estoril. We've got Munich. At the very end of the podcast, we will cover a little bit on the Boris Becker news as well. Madrid is on at the moment. We're going to cover everything on Madrid in the next episode of the podcast. So we'll cover, Andy's win over Team. I don't want to talk about it now, but I did want to just put it in there. Jack Draper and the WTA's, abysmal record within the top 10 at Madrid as well. It's all quite interesting. Just before we move on, I'm just going to see what happened with Jack Draper. He has just lost.
Yeah, I was watching that.
3 sets against Rublev though, so right at home against the best in the world.
He played very well. We'll discuss it next week, but he played very, very well.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Gavin, we will start with Estoril.
Estoril, yes, played at a beautiful tennis club, that event actually. I quite like seeing that, don't you? Like playing events, like professional events at a tennis club.
Yeah, the one that always comes to mind is Stockholm,
Queens as well, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Exclusive club, but still, I guess Wimbledon.
Yeah, Queens doesn't quite look like a normal tennis club, really, does it? It's not really got that cosy feel.
Over excess of champagne for a tennis club feel. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, wee traditional sort of feel to the tournament, and very well attended as well for an ATP 250. I don't know if you saw some of the footage from the qualifying weekend. Full stands for the qualifying for 250.
Really?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I imagine maybe the tickets might have been free. Certainly they do that quite a lot of the time just to get people in.
It was a national holiday on the Monday as well, so maybe that contributed to it as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, but great attendance for an ATP 250. I think it was Jose Morgado's Twitter if you want to look at any of the footage from qualifying weekend. But yeah, it was really well attended, which is good to see for the 250s. We know in the past that we've seen some empty stands, especially at the start of the week. But it was not full all week pretty much.
Yeah, the atmosphere was amazing. Wasn't it?
Bouncing, yeah.
Yeah, jealous of my parents who are in Estoril at the moment. Shout out to them. Lucky bastards. I'll get a holiday at some point in my life. I'm not sure when that'll be, but I'll try and make it happen. But yeah, they said it was amazing. The atmosphere did sound amazing throughout the week. Plenty of matches here with amazing atmospheres to boot. I think we're going to start with Francis Tiafoe's run through the tournament. Yeah. He had a lot of buzz around his matches.
The
marathon man, yeah. He's not really got a reputation for that, I would say. I can't think of many matches off the top of my head where he's made a comeback. But
I think part of it's due to the crowd. I mean, did you hear what he said after, I think it was his quarterfinal? He said he wished the crowd in the US supported him the way they support him in Estoril. So
yeah, good. I didn't hear that quote, but interesting.
He's throwing a wee bit of shade at his home country, which is always a wee bit risky.
And he always plays really well at the US, actually. I find definitely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got like a Tiafoe fan club in Estoril, clearly, because we're all absolutely loving him. I mean, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, wins over Rublev in US, almost beat Federer, I'm sure, 1 year. 5 sets? Yeah, he always obviously is one of those players that definitely draws on crowd support, is looking for crowd support. Monfils-esque in that he is an entertainer before he is a player, definitely. Self-professed. So yeah, I definitely think it's a shame that he doesn't get as much buzz as he maybe looks for in matches. But this week, yeah, I agree. He was all for it. He was getting a lot of response from the crowd. First thing he did was in the first round, he was down 6-2, 2-love to Lajovic, made the comeback there.
Yeah, he felt unwell, didn't he? He felt unwell during that match. He went off the court.
So he did. Yeah.
Timeout. So I kind of thought he was going to pull the plug. I thought it didn't look good at all. He was like really struggling. You could see heavy breathing and sort of heavy sweating as well. Like he really was struggling to move at all. Yeah, miraculously came back after the timeout and felt a wee bit for Lajovic, to be fair. It was sort of a wee bit of a... You wouldn't say he made a meal of it, but he certainly didn't play his optimum level of tennis when he needed to.
You can get put off by that. We've been over that before, haven't we? It's quite easy to get put off by your opponent, maybe looking a little bit lackluster, and your own level dips as a result. But yeah, still credit to Tiafoe, because that's not easy to overcome, obviously, is it? It's not the comeback I want to talk about, though. There's a couple of other comebacks during the week that I would prefer to dive into. The first being the quarterfinal to ADF, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina. ADF lost from 2-5 up, so 5-2 up. Tiafoe won 5 games in a row.
against ADF and clay. I mean, that's unbelievable considering how well ADF had been playing as well. Obviously, Monte Carlo finalist as well. I mean, who would have put a bet on that? I would have loved to seen the odds on that happening.
Yeah. Obviously, at the same time, one of the more breakable guys on tour.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, so if you're going to go on a little spree against somebody,
Probably
ADF is maybe
ADF.
one of those
Yeah,
people that relies on momentum a lot more than others. So 5 games in a row, maybe not amazingly surprising, but at the same time, obviously, Tiafoe had to dig in. There was a lot of very close points. Yeah, did you see him during the third set giving a big hug, sweaty hug to one of the lineswomen
yeah,
when he missed?
that's classic Tiafoe. Sort of was it against Del Potro in Acapulco a few years ago? He did that as well after a great point. So
Probably inspired by Delpo. Delpo's the hug giver on tour, is he not? He always is hugging people
yeah,
at the sidelines,
yeah, he
pockets
sort
and
of does
stuff.
a world tour of hugs in various tournaments. But he's such a likable player, isn't he? He's such a
Yeah.
likable player. I mean, he plays like just his style of play, his overall sort of. He tries to get the crowd involved. He always puts in full effort as well. So you mean, I'm a big fan of him, and it was good to see him play well this week. I mean, how many titles has he won in his career? Is it like one title?
One. Yeah,
I
one.
would think with
Um,
talent and all that, I'd expect him to maybe have 2 or 3, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah, I'm sure he's made a few finals. Definitely, just
yeah.
he can't put it together. What did he make? Vienna?
He did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, yeah. Did he
Lost
lose?
to who was it?
Zverev?
Sinner Zverev. Yeah, yeah. Oh no, he beat Sinner in the semis, then he lost to Zverev.
And he lost his Zverev, yeah, yeah. He played. No, he played fantastically there, didn't he? I
Yeah,
forgot. I was talking about not being a comeback king, and I mean that Sinner match was. That was definitely a comeback and a half.
yeah.
Um,
He got under Sinner's skin as well with the crowd, which is sort of quite funny now. How Sinner's
exactly.
pretty enthusiastic with the crowd, so maybe that's sort of a educational moment for Sinner. Maybe
Yeah, it could well be. Yeah, good point actually. The other match I want to talk about, probably the even bigger comeback, in my opinion, was against Korda, down
yeah,
4-6, 2-5 in the second set.
yeah. But even with that sort of lead, I did sort of have flashbacks to Delray Beach recorder. I don't know if you know what happened there with Norrie, how he was serving for the match and he lost it in a tiebreak, I think. So we obviously saw it happen against Nadal in Indian Wells.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have got this down. There's a wee bit of a thread here, isn't there?
there was a wee bit of a pattern forming, but even then, like I thought it was a possibility. I mean, I didn't think it would automatically happen, but obviously the night before, Korda had beaten Auger-Aliassime comfortably and had finished the match off perfectly well. So I thought it was a chance, but I didn't think it was definitely going to happen the way it did, and obviously it turned out to be a disaster for Korda, wasn't it? Really, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Certainly the rallies that he lost. There was one second match point he had. Korda just dumped a regulation forehand into the net. That's when you start to know a player's looking tight, when it kind of just goes dumping into the net. If they spray it long, at least they've kind of went for it. But
Yeah, they've committed to the shot. Yeah,
yeah, if it's one of those ones, literally just a rally ball just goes plops into the net, then there's a bit of tightness going on, definitely. So it's definitely something he needs to overcome. Credit to Tiafoe though. One aspect of his game I would like to talk about: on
Mhm.
all 3 match points, he had to hit a second serve, and all 3 of those match points, or all 3 of those second serves, sorry, were kick serves out wide.
Yeah,
Gab, I don't know if you've ever played anybody with a really good kick serve,
I
but
certainly have. Yep.
but
Give me
it's
flashbacks to memories I don't really want to have, being honest.
it's an absolute nightmare to
It's an
attack,
absolute nightmare. From personal experience, you don't want to be playing someone with a big kick serve. Trust me, especially in play.
especially on clay. Yeah, exactly. 'Cause you've
Nightmare
got,
scenario for club tennis player. Nightmare.
I don't. I just don't know how you know where the ball's going. Honestly, like
Can't get good rhythm on it at all. You can't get good connection on the return. It's anyone's guess where the ball's going to end up. Try standing further back, and then you sort of give up court position, don't you? I mean, that's
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's so much harder in doubles, obviously, for a club player. Maybe in a singles game you could get it back, but actually attacking it is so tough. Like,
yeah,
sure, at a professional level you can see it because people still need to give themselves time to read what's happening. Exactly. When somebody on clay has a really good second serve, they can give themselves a massive advantage in a pressure moment, like a
yeah.
match point, because not only is your serve definitely going in with that amount of topspin on it, it's super difficult for anybody to get up on the point against it. It's such an advantage that Tiafoe was actually 4th on second serve points won last year on clay. I,
Surprise, isn't it? That
I
stat.
Very surprising, that stat, and it's actually an advantage that really shouldn't be underrated, because it makes a big difference if you can cover your second serve like that. Definitely.
Yeah.
There was also one other moment I wanted to talk about, like 2-5 down, add 40 to Tiafoe. One of Korda's shots hit the net cord, then hit the Fox 10 camera box that was on
Yeah.
court.
Disabled
And
it.
it disabled it, did you
I
say?
think so. Well, it didn't allow.
No. So the actual camera's in the block, Gav. So you can't. It wasn't able to show you a replay because it bounced
Yeah,
off the
that's what
top of
I meant.
the.
Sort of, you can see a replay of it. So I
Oh, I
didn't
see. Yeah.
camera, but it didn't disable it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just hit the top of the box, like where the camera actually is, so it couldn't show you a replay of it. And there's a line painted on the box. I didn't realize that, to act as part of the court. So really odd scenario, and Tiafoe didn't really know what had actually happened, I think, and was kind of questioning it. And like, I mean, that's obviously unfair, surely, but just is what it is.
That's
It's
what it
just
is, isn't it? You can't do anything about it.
yeah, it's just another permanent fixture on the court, so it's allowed to bounce off it, and it was really weird actually. I didn't know that was even the Fox 10 camera. I didn't really think about it, but
Mm.
yeah, there you go. Really weird. Anyway, yeah, I mean, he came through that game. He was fine. Eventually managed to finish the match. I mean, credit to Korda. He stayed there in the third set. He managed to claw back from a breakdown and make it 4-all, and then just a few loose points here or there. I'd like to move on to Baez, Sebastian Baez,
Yep.
the eventual titleist.
I like that word, titleist.
Titleist. I don't know if it's actually a word, but we'll use it.
Fan, but yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows what I mean by titleist, even if it isn't actually a word. But whatever. I wanted to talk about. Oh, but we could talk about him and Cilic first, if you like. Actually,
Let's not go there. Let's not go
I
there.
know it's a shame. 6-1 first set to Mad Marin.
I looked at the score and I just knew this is not going to end well, and it didn't end well. Even though he won the first set 6-1, I thought he's just going to awaken the beast in Baez. No, to be fair, Baez was actually one of my picks for the title this week, because I don't know if you watched him at all in Santiago or Rio. He has looked like he did look really good, and even in that final in Santiago, he was a set and a break up, and he lost it to Pedro Martinez, but it was more Martinez playing really, really well and sort of increasing his level, and Baez just falling off a cliff. So I thought, I didn't think a title was going to come from it. Obviously, next clay court event he plays, he wins. Oh no, was it next one? No, he lost in Barcelona. But after next, no, the best way to say that would be next ATP 250 clay court event he plays, he wins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they're eventually in the end.
Good point. I mean, yeah, he's obviously got a really good level, and actually, I had Cilic down to win that. Just side note. Yeah, I put a bet on it, and I was really gutted that Cilic
Not
lost.
watched enough Marin Cilic matches in 2021 or 2022.
No, but I knew I was watching the live score, and I agree with you. I was like, as soon as I saw he won that first set 6-1, I was like, something's not right here. I don't like this. Like, I've got a funny feeling about this. So yeah, not
much, but I was gutting for him in the end.
okay. He'll get there, won't he? You know, he's still he's facing good players and he's doing well, and he's still getting the odd really good win. So
Grass court season's round the corner as well.
exactly, yeah.
You know,
A couple of months of heaven, 1 month of heaven, whatever, how long it is.
It's going to be like the Goran Ivanisevic story at Wimbledon. He's going to finally win it after so many times.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Actually, that would be really cool. Yeah, so I'd like to move on to Baez against ARV, Ramos-Vinolas.
Yep.
Just a short bit here. Just I thought for Baez to make, ARV look as he did in the third set, he got bageled in the third set. I thought that was, that's an insanely rated accomplishment. Like, everybody should be raving about that. It's really, really impressive.
He just doesn't miss a ball and play. He just doesn't miss a ball.
Yeah.
Slab, you've got to either hit through him or you've got to put him under so much pressure that he feels he has to do more. And obviously that's what he did. You're right, that's sort of one of these stats that could go unnoticed and people just think, oh, Ramos-Vinolas, I'm guessing he overpowered him and that was it. But actually, if you look at Ramos-Vinolas' record in play, that's nearly impossible to do unless you're like a Rafa or something beating 6-love play.
Yeah. Most
players really struggle to put him away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was really impressive. One of the things that really impressed me, actually, Baez is so we're always going to be making these comparisons, I think, to Diego Schwartzman throughout his career. It's a clear and obvious comparison as an Argentinian. He's like the same sort of height as him, very similar game style. Obviously, a game that's tailor made for clay. Really, he does have a very, for his height, a relatively good first serve. I don't think he's.
A lot of firepower on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would say probably better than Schwartzman, to be honest. I don't know if his percentages reflect that so much, but certainly he gets 3 points off that first serve, and he can set himself up quite well. And it was just the odd important point he had to keep his momentum going in the third set that he was able to win just by putting in an unreturnable serve or a sort of free shot rally serve sort of thing.
Mm.
Against ARVs, I was really impressed with it, and I think it could be an asset for him. Definitely.
Definitely, if he's gonna sort of obviously if he can just improve his consistency, I think for sure in the big. See when Roland Garros comes around, if he gets a good draw, it'll be interesting to see how far he could go. Maybe even second week, potentially fourth round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I agree. Holding more frequently on clay this year than players like Tommy Paul, Kachanov, Djokovic, Delbonis.
oh, yeah.
Obviously, Djokovic had that match against ADF at the start of the clay season. To be
In other
fair,
words,
that
the clay court ATP 250 Hall of Fame, pretty much.
Schwartzman's still the master of breaking serve compared to Baez, but I mean he's right up there with the top 10 on clay this year. To be fair, more so than Alcaraz for Baez, a higher break rate on clay than Alcaraz, so it gives you a pretty good idea of what he's doing on the surface. Did you see this? So all week at the end of his matches, Baez was writing on the lens of the camera, "Why not me?"
Inspired by Tiafoe.
Inspired by Tiafoe, yeah, inspired by his bracelet. And then after winning the title, he wrote, "Yes, it's me," which I just thought that's very.
Nice recurring theme.
Yeah, it's just teaching self confidence to people, being confident in your game, sort of thing. It's a lovely.
Better than the Tsitsipas sort of Monte Carlo
Oh,
philosophical quotes on the camera.
yeah, it's stuff like touch the sky after you climb the highest mountain of the. Yeah, it's like whatever, man. Just no, yeah, this was much more wholesome. I like this.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, former junior world number one. He's a brilliant player. I should have a lot of self confidence. At the same time, when he came out for the title or in the final, even he was pretty nervous. He said, and it looked like that when he was playing Tiafoe. I don't know if you saw the first few games of the match, but
Yeah, he looked like he's just needed to settle down a wee bit. Just sort of needed a good 10, 15 minutes just to sort of get the nerves out of his system. And then once that subsided, he found a really high level of tennis, high base level of tennis. And obviously, at the start of the match when Tiafoe was a break up, even I sort of thought, well, Baez can easily come back and produce his best again. I mean, he's been in a final before. He may be nervous, but I thought he would still come back. And yeah, I'm happy for him that he won the title because I was sort of gutted that he lost that Santiago final for a set in the breakup. I felt he played really
yeah,
good tennis throughout the week, and the way he lost it. Okay, Martinez played better, but it was sort of almost felt like the match was taken out of his hands. He didn't really do anything to sort of gain the momentum back. So it was good to see him get the win.
yeah.
This week.
Yeah, there was that third game against Tiafoe, sort of 10-minute game on his serve, on Baez's serve, that he only just came through, like 3 break points saved and stuff, stopped
Mhm.
himself going a double breakdown. Sometimes that's all it takes, isn't it? Like
Absolutely.
if that game had went the other way, Tiafoe was pretty knackered, but at the same time he was, just a little bit of momentum, and it could have went a different way.
Mhm.
But Baez was amazing at just not giving Tiafoe any free points. I think Tiafoe hit like 39% of his first serves, which is low. That's low
Very low for him.
by any standard, but in a final, that's particularly low. So it just he wasn't getting away with his second serve as much against Baez as he would against other people. Like that kick serve out wide, like Schwartzman, Baez has got an amazing backhand return, and it's he was able to sort of step into that and make Tiafoe a little worried a lot of the time. So it was quite interesting to see Tiafoe put up a good fight considering he was probably definitely knackered anyway.
Well,
But
the energy was really low, wasn't it? I mean, he must
yeah,
have spent all his energy in the tank, and he still put in a good fighting effort. I think that sort of sums up who he is as a player. He always gives as much as he can to the fans, but at the end of the day, when you've got Baez in that form, that quality of a clay court player, you're not able to beat running on running in empty
yeah,
teams. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm not surprised that he lost the final, but still a really positive week for him.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Actually, more of the rallies in the match lasted 4 or more shots than they did in the 1-2 free shot rally
Mhm.
range. So it gives you an idea of how hard Baez was making Tiafoe work. And
How much energy was making him sort of exert. Yeah.
yeah. So it was kind of as clay court 250 as you can get, if that makes sense. Like Baez is like the clay court player for me at the moment. Like he just absolutely grinds his players to a pulp. So
Yeah,
it was good. It's quite old school clay quarter. I liked it. It's cool.
good, authentic clay court
Yeah,
tennis.
exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah. None of this crazy loopy like freak spin that Rafa gives you. It's just like good old fashioned. I'll grind you down to
Hard
the
grind. Yeah, good.
yeah. Well done, Sebastian Baez. Obviously, only 21 years old, so loads and loads of potential for him moving forward. We are going to move on to the other 250 that was taking place this week. Another very young player at the moment. A lot of young players breaking through at the moment, I got to say. Making a lot of big wins for themselves, definitely. A lot of people picking up titles that are 21 or younger. Holger Rune won in Munich, his first ATP title. First thing I'd like to talk about was his win over Zverev.
His demolition job over Zverev, really, not just a win, an absolute demolition job.
Relatively, yeah. 3-2 or 2-3, one or the other. But Zverev had never lost 5 or more games, or had never won less than 6 games, I guess, in a clay match since he'd broken through at the 2017 Rome Masters. So,
and he didn't even play that badly. Like Rune just played unbelievably well. Like from the back of the court, his whole game from his serve, his forehand, backhand, was going to the net. He looked really confident. He was playing like with a certain freedom. I felt like he didn't look like he was sort of nervous. I think maybe getting that set off of Novak at the US Open, maybe it's given him a wee bit more confidence when he plays against a big player. I don't know, but maybe just when he stepped out there, he looked like he was playing with total freedom, no nerves. Really took the match to Zverev, and Zverev just sort of couldn't handle it. Like just couldn't. It had no answers. It was maybe a wee bit surprising that he didn't sort of respond, considering he was in his home country, in his home event as well. I think he's from Munich, is he? Or he's maybe born in the outskirts of Munich. So I thought maybe he would sort of be inspired by the crowd, sort of finding another gear, maybe, but he wasn't able to do that. And Rune was just unbelievable. One of the performances of the year for me.
Yeah, a few things to say on that, definitely. First thing was actually, and I'll get on to a bit about Holger Rune's self-confidence in a second, but one of the things he did halfway through the week was withdraw from Madrid due to qualification starting on the Friday. And obviously that would have been moot had he lost his next match to Ruusuvuori, basically. But then he went out and beat Ruusuvuori 6-love, 6-2. So it turned out to be entirely the right decision. Can't really fault him for it. But at the same time, it was a little bit
risky.
Totally, and you can look like a bit of a dick if you get that wrong. So
maybe he's just a 250. I think maybe he just believes that he was going to win the tournament or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just that confidence that he's got now.
Yeah, I mean, fine. I'll talk about that properly in a second because there's self-confidence and then there's something else. But we'll get onto that in the final because it's a bit relevant there. One thing that Zverev said. Now Zverev was getting, to be fair, he was getting drop shotted a lot, and that Rune's good at the drop shot. It happens. It's a shot he likes to use. Comfortable in the forecourt off the back of it. He's also got a very good backhand, so you have a lot of people sort of stepping back. That's why the drop shot works a bit better and stuff. Yada yada yada. I thought he played really well, and it takes a lot of good feel and touch and stuff to pull that shot off. And then he had the rest to boot, as you say. Amazing forehand and backhand from the back of the court. Did play a really, really solid match. Zverev said though that I'll get the quote here. I'm sorry for the tournament, sorry for the spectators. It was my worst match in the last 5, 6, 7 years. He's a good player, but I would have lost to anyone today. I was incredibly nervous today before the match. It was my first time in Germany in front of a crowd for years. Is that disrespectful?
I think he needs to watch the match back. I don't think he was that bad. I don't think he played that awful. And this is for his first time in years. Did he not win the event in Cologne? Cup indoor event? Was there any fans at that event in Cologne?
Yeah. Actually, was that 2020 or 2021?
2020. It was October 2020. I'm not sure if there was any fans or not, but he has played Germany in front of some people.
So for a couple of years. Yeah. Unless there wasn't people there. There might not have been.
Yeah, I can't remember, but
I can't remember either. Did he win back-to-back titles there as well?
He did. He won back-to-back titles, you're right. He won 2 ATP 250s and he won them both. But what surprises me is the fact that he comes out of the court at the start of the season saying he's one of the new big three. then he immediately now he's saying he's nervous and he's not the confidence. He's trying to make excuses. It's like either or, you know what I mean? He's dug himself into a hole, and I don't think he's sort of struggling to try and dig himself out of it. Really,
He talks too much for me. I gotta say, he shouldn't be saying stuff like that at the start of the year. He shouldn't be saying stuff like this now. I think he needs to be a little bit more insular because giving stuff like that away obviously seems to affect him in some ways because he is dealing with self-confidence issues on the court at the moment. He's not playing anywhere near his best tennis. Giving all this away to opponents, they're going to feel a little bit of an extra boost every time they step out on the court against Zverev at the moment. So, just
absolutely, yeah.
like, what's the need to say it? I think he's a little bit too much of an open book, to be honest. That's ironic. Apologies. but that's the last thing I thought I'd be saying on this podcast. Apologies. But still, in terms of match, tactics, he's definitely a bit too open. So
100%.
yeah, and you're quite right as well. He didn't play an awful match. I just think Rune was a lot better than him. He had a very high level. So just gotta say, all credit to him. Well played.
Absolutely.
In the final, what a shame, eh?
Oh, awful, especially the way that Van De Zandschulp was having breathing problems, wasn't it? It was sort of, was it heart breathing problems? And that's always worrying.
Yeah,
for a player.
breathing problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that would occur. Maybe it was, is Munich played at sort of, not played at high altitude, is it?
It is.
Is it? Right,
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe that's the big reason for it. But I've not seen a final stop for issues like that ever. I mean, it sort of harked back to Raducanu at Wimbledon, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a wee bit.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. You kind of saw him at the side, and it looked like he was almost panicking. I'm sure he wasn't, but it's just the way he was breathing. It looked like he was breathing a million miles an hour. He's a very chill guy. Obviously, I don't think he panics about anything. But
Yeah,
it was just a shame. He was playing really well, actually. He was up a break and stuff, and he's just such a steady game. 100% could have got into the head of Rune, who, steady guy a lot of the time, but he's still flusterable. Young guy, definitely he can get into the head of a player like that for sure, and it was working.
Title. Yeah,
Exactly. So I would have fancied BVDZ to get through that one. I'll say that to get through that one after taking the first break, because he looked like the better player. Definitely, he was doing a lot of drop shots of his own actually as well. Definitely the kind of shot that he's comfortable trading back to somebody like Rune. So he could he's such a good net player, Van De Zandschulp.
he is.
So
Yeah.
So 100%, he was sort of mopping up a lot of those drop shots quite easily. So I would like to talk about one thing that kind of made me cringe a little bit from Rune, and I'm not honestly, Gav, I don't think I can really forgive him for the stuff he said. Do you know about that?
In Argentina.
Was it Argentina?
He was moaning about the fans.
Maybe. I don't think it was Argentina, because I think it was a challenger match, and he was.
Oh, right.
He said a homophobic slur. I'm sure you could guess what one it is.
Right, okay. Yes,
yeah.
So I was getting confused with the event in Argentina when he was sort of having a go at the fans in the outside courts for being too excitable, which is nonsense, really.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there is a common theme where if he is starting to get annoyed on the court, he does stuff that he later regrets.
Mm-hmm. That's just maturity. He needs to grow up a wee bit.
He does need to grow up a bit, definitely.
What age is he? He's like
19.
19. Okay, so he's not exactly a youngster, is he? I mean, 19 is young, but it's not like 17 or 16. You know what I mean? He's got experience now.
Sure. The thing is with tennis, if you're breaking out at 18, 19, you're kind of forced to, because it's a single sport, you're forced to grow up incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
So, if you can't keep up, then you're going to lose a lot of fans very quickly, and
your PR image is going to go down, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of something I can't really look past until he properly sort of apologised for it and kind of owns it. He didn't really, to be honest. He just kind of gave a very half-hearted, people expect me to be this and that. I'm not perfect. And then just left it at that. And it's like, all right, okay, Jesus Christ, that's not a good attitude at all. He does talk about, his own attitude and say, he says he's an aggressive baseliner with attitude, basically, was quote what he said. And he has got a bit of swagger. He definitely is a bit fiery. Like there was the double bounce, I think, that Fergus Murphy called, and
He was
then
not happy.
yeah, he wasn't happy at all. And then the next point, it was like, holding up two fingers to his camp, like, was that a double bounce sort of thing? And I
Yeah, I
kind of
mean, I don't know.
it.
Not a big fan of stuff like that.
No, no,
Well,
it's,
if you make a mistake, own it, or if if the umpire or something like that, just move on. Like, don't blame the umpire. Just
yeah,
move on.
yeah. But either way, I feel like, if he's got a bit of swagger, whatever you want to call it, on the court, happy for him to channel it positively. But every time he channels it negatively, he is 100% accountable. And
Yeah, he doesn't own his mistakes, I guess is what you're saying at the moment.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So absolutely hammered a ball at the backstop as well in this match when people were still trying to sit down, sort of thing, and find their seats. And it's like, there's one thing that's causing that. You're 4-1 down at the moment. And
Yeah.
that's why, you're just taking it out on the crowd, sort of thing.
I'm not, the right person to lecture anybody about on-court behaviour, but yeah, calm, positive thoughts really.
I don't think, obviously I'm not either, Gav, but to my credit and to your credit, the frustrations are always,
Internal with yourself. Yeah, no, you
yeah,
don't lose it either. Yeah, exactly. But I guess if you're playing in front of thousands of people, maybe the people in the crowd are like actively trying to discourage you or trying to distract you when you're serving. Maybe then it becomes a wee bit more understandable to get annoyed at the crowd. But equally, you can't just make the whole crowd sort of suffer or sort of punish the whole crowd for a few idiots. You know what I mean? So it's
exactly 100%. I feel like we're trying to find excuses for a lot of ATP players at the moment. And honestly,
yeah,
if the guy wasn't good at tennis, then straight up I'd just be like, I don't like the guy. So
yeah.
I,
He wouldn't survive 2 minutes in the West of Scotland tennis league.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right, fuck off, mate. Like nobody's interested. So yeah, I'll keep my mind open a little bit, because the problem is he's probably, again, as with a lot of these players, he's probably going to be in the conversation for years and years and years to come.
Mm.
But yeah, definitely some maturity issues there. So
100%.
we'll chalk it down to that for now, Gav. See how he gets on the next couple of years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well done to him anyway, though, for getting the title. Obviously a massive milestone for him at 19 years old. He is looking in fine. Fickle moving into, well, for him, Rome, I guess. French Open, definitely still a guy to look out for in those tournaments as well, even if the conditions are a little bit slower. A few movers of the week I'd like to talk about. Just a few ranking changes that might interest you. Baez moves from 59 to 40 in the world, so into the top 50. Rune exactly the same in the top 50 as well, moves from 70 to 45, having been outside of the top 500 at the start of 2021.
Mental.
Yeah, it's really mental. And obviously, Alcaraz blows everybody's records out the water at the moment, but you got to give credit to that record, because if Alcaraz wasn't around, then that would be a massive,
Massive milestone. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
a massive point of conversation for loads of people. Kecmanovic, 38 to 32. Tiafoe, 29 to 25. 25 for Tiafoe.
Good to see.
Yeah,
Hopefully onwards and upwards.
100%. I think that Vienna final, honestly, is quite a big chunk of those points as well. I'm not really sure what else.
I think Wayne Ferreira's doing a really good job with him, isn't he? He's been working with him for a while now, and obviously
Yeah.
both kind of laid back, chilled out, similar personalities.
Yeah.
Certainly from what you see from Wayne Ferreira when he's doing commentary or punditry, he seems like sort of the perfect match in terms of like keeping chilled out but working hard.
Yeah, definitely. Probably a massive part of it. You're quite right. Korda into the top 30, 37 to 30.
Yeah, he definitely will go higher.
Yeah, he will. Probably top 20 shortly.
Mhm.
I'm sure he'll make it the top 20 at some point in his career, but I think top 20 shortly, definitely. BVDZ moves from 40 to 31.
Yeah,
Definitely, I think now definitely the highest ranked player without a title. So hopefully it comes sooner rather than later.
Ivanovic can eventually stop answering questions and that.
Of
Hopefully
course.
win a title soon, but don't know where at the moment, being honest. I don't see it happening at the moment. You just can't put it all together.
It's definitely a mental block now, isn't it? That's the
Mhm.
thing. Other way, so people that have moved down, Basilashvili from 20 to 27. That's,
His rankings like a yo-yo. It'll be back up to like number 20 odd by the end of the year, probably.
well, maybe. I was going to say his
Maybe.
stock is pretty damn low at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes crashing down a lot further
He
than
just
that.
needs to remind himself every week that he just needs to basically psychologically tell himself he's playing a clay court event in Germany. That's where he seems to play his best stuff.
Well, did he lose this week at a clay court in Germany? To be fair, didn't have to
Last
psychological.
last week he did. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
if you look at his career record, he's got an unbelievable good record in Germany.
he does. Yeah, yeah. Did he actually? Who did he
He,
lose to?
he beat Fognini yesterday, so in Madrid,
Oh, so he did. Yeah, yeah, and he lost to Kecmanovic. So
which is
it's
not a
not.
bad loss.
Yeah, not at all. He's playing Alcaraz today, actually.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah,
Tennis,
well,
tennis ball,
or a terrible one. We'll see.
tennis ball will fall apart either way.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Garen 30-39.
To be fair, the way he's been playing, I think it's lucky he's only losing 9 points down in the rankings.
He's outside the top 50 in terms of ELO ratings, I would say, definitely.
100%, maybe even outside the top 60 or 70, really.
Yeah.
I don't like laying into a player, but I mean, his clay court stuff's been not good for his standards.
Poor, yeah. ARV 31-43.
Again, with the RV, I think it's very much about capitalising at the right point in the season, and hopefully, when he gets to, like, the grass court or the hard courts, it's going to be more difficult for him to be consistent. But obviously, we've still got a bit of the clay court season to go, so he could go back up. You know what I mean?
Well, he's not got much time to show up, I gotta say. But we'll see.
Roland Garros, if he has a good run there, you're not.
Don't think so. Third round.
Still, that's not bad for him, actually. Depends on the draw. After this, he'll probably get Rafa first round, and it'll be like, oh well, good luck.
Well, that's the thing. 32 seeds, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
The ARV is an awful first round for somebody. Baez is a terrible first round for somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, so a lot of players to look out for that aren't even going to be seeded at the French Open.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, we can move on to Boris Becker. Boris Becker has gone to jail.
He has. He's going to jail.
He is going to jail.
Starts today, doesn't he? Does
he start today? There you go. So yeah, he's been jailed for 2.5 years after hiding some of his assets after being declared bankrupt. Hid assets and loans worth £2.5 million to avoid paying off his debts, which were calculated at £50 million.
Yep.
2 counts of concealing property, a £1 million house in his hometown of Lehman, and a bank loan of nearly £700,000 in that house. Also found to have made £390,000 worth of payments from his business account to 9 others, including his ex-wife's, apparently. I don't think she was aware of that. He'll be forced to serve half of it in jail, half of it under license. So he's technically there for 1.25 years or so, and then the rest he'll be under, sort of supervision, sort of thing. Literally sounds like all that debt has just been accrued on a divorce, child maintenance payments, and expensive lifestyle commitments, quote unquote, including his £22,000 a month rented house in Wimbledon, stuff like that.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't mean to laugh, but just the way you worded the expensive lifestyle commitments, as if he's got, like, he can't possibly. I don't know, it's funny, but he can't possibly get out of owning £1 million house.
Yeah, you're quite right. It's a good point. There's nobody forcing him to spend £22,000 a month on a house in Wimbledon.
I do not find that as funny as I do, but yeah, no, it's a shame. Obviously, you don't want to read about these things, and he's a very popular figure within the game, and certainly I'm a big fan of his as well.
That's what I wanted to talk about, and I think that's quite an interesting point of discussion. It's like if he comes back and he decides to do more commentary, if he decides to do more coaching, whatever, I don't think there would be much pushback from people. Certainly, I wouldn't be one to push him back from doing something like that, because he's still a likeable guy. Yeah. What he's done is illegal, but it's not necessarily damning on his character. It's just embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just complete mismanagement or sort of misorganisation of his finances. I mean, he did say that when he retired, the money that he got, certainly he didn't get paid as much as what he did during his career. But I think, the dates. I mean, it goes back like the mid-90s, doesn't it? I mean, it's such a long time that this has been going on for. I guess the expense of divorce didn't help, but equally, I mean, you not get himself a financial advisor. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, he's had so many controversies. I mean, I think if you read his Wikipedia, it's sort of his life story and all that. There's been so many moments which sort of make your eyes sort of widen in terms of what he's done, certain aspects of his personal life, but equally, it sort of sums up the flamboyant, sort of exuberant punditry that he sort of provides, doesn't it? I mean,
he's a lavish character, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd recommend reading into some of his personal life stuff, because some of it is very, shall we say, enlightening, to put it in a polite way. It's certainly eventful. He's certainly not lived a boring sort of life, especially during his career. But look,
he's a bit rock starry, wasn't he?
very rock starry. I won't go into the sort of
finer
specifics
details.
for
Yeah.
censorship reasons, but
Yeah.
certainly rock starry. Put it that way.
Right. Interesting. What was the tweet? The tweet you retweeted, Gav?
Becker is expected to begin his sentence at Category B Wandsworth Prison, which is overcrowded, all at the taxpayer's expense. Wouldn't it be much better to get him teaching tennis in comprehensive schools up and down the country? I'm happy to organise it.
I certainly agree with that.
It'd be great. Imagine that, just after school. You've got like Boris Becker for PE or whatever. That would
Yeah.
be incredible.
Yeah.
You can maybe like branch out into other sports as well.
There's definitely like some sort of 90s comedy in there for sure. Like, but
it's like, I don't know if you've seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Kindergarten Cop.
That's what I was thinking of. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, it's exactly that sort of vibe off it.
That'd be great, actually. I think that'd be brilliant. Like you can imagine like doing the Arnie accent as well. They both sound sort of a wee bit similar.
I know, yeah. I mean, and that's that's a couple of million off your debt when you sell the rights to that film as well.
Exactly, and you got the sequel as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's bound to be a sequel, surely.
Get like big Mats Philander involved or something, like a rivalry, whatever.
100%. I think we should be his financial advisors.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Like, that would be like I'd volunteer to. I've got an English degree. Just put it out there. Just write the script for that.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Anyway, yeah, we're laughing, but poor guy is, he's going to be away for a while. As I say, at least I don't think his reputation will be too ruined when he comes back. I still think he'll be able to.
He's one of those ones that you can't really knock his rep. He's been through so much already that you can't really.
Yeah, exactly. Why beat a man when he's down, sort of thing.
Exactly. I mean, there were some good puns and some good tweets about it, which if you want to look at Twitter to check out, it was quite funny.
Why not though? I mean, yeah, come on, gotta laugh in some ways at the same time.
Yeah, I think one of the. I mean, it doesn't sound quite harsh, but one of the few times he didn't win in a court, which is obviously quite a good one.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know. He's obliged to spend 20 million in a villa.
I know, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty ridiculous. I think, the worst thing that comes out of it is a bit of embarrassment. Well, obviously,
you don't like him going to jail, but he did commit a crime, and hopefully he comes through it and comes back. I'd like to see him back in the game.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good commentator. I like him. I think some people are a bit iffy on him, but I like him personally. Definitely.
Yeah. Well, from what we know of him, he seems like a decent guy, and he does love the sport, and he does provide good commentary. So yeah.
Right. On that note, Gav, should we wrap up there?
Wrap it up. Yep.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining us on this 41st episode. You've listened very far through. Please join us next time as well. We'll cover everything on Madrid on the WTA and ATP sides. If you would like to catch any more of my work, onlinetennis.uk is where you can find me. Gav is on Last Word on Tennis.
I'll be doing some
predictions aplenty.
And I'll be writing that Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah. Get on there to see Gav's interpretation of Boris Becker's kindergarten. I can't say it. Kindergarten copy. Got it eventually.
Brilliant.
I know it's going to be good. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. Catch us next time on the Online Tennis Podcast. Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.